Now that Reddit is public, they have to report all their financials, and in their very first financial disclosures, they reported this. Reddit reported a net loss of $575.1 million. Stock-based compensation expenses and related taxes were $595.5 million, primarily driven by charges due to the initial public offering. And after reading that, you might be surprised to learn that their stock price actually jumped in after-hours trading. As you can see here, their after-market stock price jumped by 18%, which is pretty significant, and that is for one very important reason, because it was way less money than they thought that they were going to lose. Here's the entire article from which I just read you the one paragraph. Reddit shares soar 11% after company reports revenue pop in debut earnings report. Reddit shares rallied 11% in pre-market trading on Wednesday, a day after the company released quarterly results for the first time since its IPO in March. Here's how the company did. $8.19 loss per share, which was a little less than was expected. Revenue $243 million versus an expected $212.8 million by the LSEG. Revenue climbed 48% from $167.3 million earlier this year. The company reported $222.7 million in ad revenue for the period, up 39% year over year, which is a faster rate of growth than any of its top competitors. And the reason the stock price jumped is because stock price is primarily based on what people think that a company is going to do, or how good the growth or the profitability might be at some point in the future, not necessarily how it's doing today. And for more examples of that, you can look at something like Tesla, which, even though it doesn't make as much money as some of the other competitors like Toyota and Honda, its stock price stays way higher than theirs because people believe that it could someday make more than its competitors. But for an even better comparison for Reddit, we can look at a very similar social media, Pinterest, which is also not profitable, as you can see here. Through these efforts, and it's talking about efforts to try and make more money and lose less, Pinterest's global ARPU ticked up from the 2022's 6.36 to 6.44 by the end of 2023. More importantly, the ARPU in North America rose from $24.38 in 2022 to $25.52 last year. This region generated $2.4 billion of Pinterest's $3.1 billion in 2023 revenue. And this is the important part. Yet despite its sales growth, Pinterest is not profitable. The company exited 2023 with a net loss of $35.6 million. However, achieving profitability growth is one of Pinterest's key business models, because of course they would say that this is the most important thing to us, even though I believe they have never turned a profit since their IPO in like 2019 or something. However, despite this entire lack of profitability, Pinterest's stock is up almost 100% year over year, and that's because people believe that it is going to be profitable. And in the same vein of thought, people believe that Reddit is going to be popular as well. And so I suspect Reddit is going to continue to meet this similar enthusiasm of people believing that it's going to have and make a lot of money because of how many people use it on a daily basis. And it's also newer and more exciting than Pinterest is, so more people want to get in on the ground floor of its IPO. Now, the primary reason that Reddit is doing so well is because the digital ads market overall is doing really, really well. Digital ad market is finally on the mend, bouncing back from the dark days of 2022. Advertising is so back after a brutal 2022 when brands reeled in spending to cope with inflation, and a 2023 defined by layoffs and cost cuts. The top digital advertising companies have started to grow at a healthy clip. Meta, Snap, and Google all reported first quarter results this week with revenue growth that exceeded analysts' estimates and at rates not seen in the past 2 years. Their financials were primarily driven by improvements across their ad business. So Reddit is doing better than expected, but also so is every other social media company that relies on advertisements in order to function properly. It's kind of a rising tide lifts all ships type situation where Reddit is really just benefiting from an overall ad market that's benefiting everyone else. But I believe that the future of Reddit is super bright, and that's for two main reasons. Before we jump into those though, if you enjoy almost daily business and finance news and updates, I'd love it if you gave me a subscription, and I'd love to see you on some other videos. The first is ad real estate. Reddit has ads, but it doesn't have nearly as many ads as other sites. As you can look here, if we're just scrolling through r/all, organic posts, organic posts, organic posts, organic posts, there's almost no ads to be had here. Whereas if you scroll through Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat, there are kind of ads everywhere. Also, the search function doesn't have ads either. So if I type in something like best treadmills, And then I get a bunch of posts up here related to best treadmills, and you will not find a single ad on any of these. This is prime real estate for sponsored posts by companies that sell treadmills and want to advertise to Redditors who are looking for the best ones. If Reddit can figure out how to build a good search engine, then they can run ads in the same way that Google does, where people are searching for specific topics or interests or product recommendations, and they are served ads by other companies that want to get in front of those customers. You also probably remember that they killed third-party apps like Apollo. There was the huge Reddit blackout event over it, but because of that, more and more people have been forced onto Reddit's native app, just the Reddit app, which I think was like Alien Blue at some point, and they're making a lot more money off of that because they make money from the advertisements that the people are now forced to see because they're on Reddit's app and not on another third-party app that's taking the money for those advertisements, or worse yet, doesn't have advertisements at all. The second reason Reddit is probably going to do pretty well, at least in the short term, is because they can license user data. Reddit has a new AI training deal to sell user content. Reddit will let an unnamed large AI company have access to its user-generated content platform in a new licensing deal, according to Bloomberg yesterday. The deal is worth about $60 million on an annualized basis, the outlet writes, and could still change as the company's plans to go public are in the works. Until recently, most AI trained their data on the open web without seeking permission, and that's proved to be legally questionable, leading companies to try and get data on firmer footing. It's not known what company Reddit made the deal with, but it's quite a bit more than the $5 million annual deal OpenAI has been reportedly offering to news publishers for their data. Apple has also been seeking multi-year deals with major news companies, and that could be worth at least $50 million, according to the New York Times. Reddit has a massive amount of user-generated data, probably more than most other social media platforms. It's because people create this content constantly, and they enjoy doing so, and they enjoy the interaction with other people around the world that comes with it. And this is an absolute goldmine for AI companies who need real-life conversations and real humans writing texts how they normally would in order to train their large language models. Now, currently, I think all of Reddit's user-generated content is only licensed to one company, but you can imagine at some point in the future, they would either make way more money licensing it to the one company, or they would license it to a bunch of smaller AI startups that need this kind of data. And that potentially leads to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue growth. So probably Reddit is going to be just fine, at least in the short term, and I will definitely let you know if that changes. Thanks for watching.